Let me ask you a serious question. If all of a sudden the mortgage rates drop from 6% to 5.7% overnight, would that suddenly make the house you're looking at more affordable? Most people think waiting for rates to fall is the smartest move, and that may be the case for some people. But if you are seriously looking for a new home in Houston, waiting could be costing you more money than you realize. So in today's video, I'm going to show you where mortgage rates are currently, where the big institutions think they're headed in 2026, and I'm going to show you some of the mistakes that buyers in places like Fulshire, Katy, Richmond, some of the surrounding areas are making while they wait. And by the end of this video, you'll know whether waiting is helping you or it's hurting you. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Danny. I'm with the Living in Houston, Suburbs, Texas channel, and each and every day we help viewers just like you make a decision about owning a new home. And if that's the case, you're looking to make that move, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. All of my contact information is located in the description below. And if this is the first time you've come to our channel, please make sure you subscribe to it and tap the bell so you get all the latest updates about living in the suburbs of Houston, Texas. So with all this talk about interest rates, where are they at currently? Right now, let's start with some facts. As of mid-January 2026, the average fixed mortgage rate is sitting at about 6.1% nationally. Now, that's for a 30-year mortgage. If you were looking for a 15-year mortgage, you're probably looking somewhere in the mid-fives. Now, that's important because a lot of people are still thinking that we're hovering around the 7s or high 7% interest rates, and that's just not the case anymore. They've come down a full percentage from the highs of 2023 and 2024. So right now, low 6s, mid 6s, that's the rate environment that we're in. And that is not a crisis environment. That is a typical environment for interest rates. But here's what gets interesting. The big question isn't where the rates are now. The question is where they're going next. Okay, let me start by saying I do not have a crystal ball and I can't see into the future. I am also not a mortgage lender. So instead of guessing, instead of just giving you my opinion of what I think rates are going to be in this upcoming year, what I have done is looked at what the industries and the institutions that control trillions of dollars are actually forecasting. So that's what we're going to talk about now. We're going to talk about what the big money players in the mortgage industry are saying for this upcoming year. And one of the biggest players is Fannie Mae. And you may know Fannie Mae, they back huge portions of the U.S. mortgage industry. And what they're doing is they're forecasting that by the end of the year, by the end of 2026, mortgage rates will be averaging around 5.9%. So that's pretty interesting data, and that kind of gives you an idea of what those folks who are in the market are saying about the current interest rates and where they're headed to this year. Now, another place that I look to for data is the Mortgage Bankers Association. It's something similar, right? This is just bankers that are doing a lot of the mortgages, right? They're saying they expect rates to stay between 6 and 6.5% for most of the year. Now, of course, all of these are with the caveat that inflation kind of stays where it's at and the bond market rallies hard. So what does that mean to you in plain English? That means that first and foremost, we are probably not going to see 3 and 4% interest rates anytime soon. Now, again, like I mentioned, I do not have a crystal ball. I do not know where they're going, but I can say with confidence, based on the information that I have from these two large players, that we're probably not going to see rates in the 3s and 4s anytime soon. But here's the good note. We're probably not going to see rates die or skyrocket to the 7 and 8% either. So what this means is that for the rest of this year, based on the data we're seeing, there's going to be a pretty stable market. It's going to be somewhere between the high 5s and the mid 6s. And that has huge implications for Houston area buyers, because one of the things that people don't like when they go to buy a house is that fluctuation. When they go look at a house and rates are 6% and then 30 days, 15 days later, they're skyrocketed to 7%. That makes a huge difference. So I think this year, based on the data that I'm seeing, based on the research that I've done, based on the information from these two huge players in the game, we're going to see a pretty stable interest rate market. So let's talk about numbers. Let's say hypothetically that there's a 0.5% rate change in the market. Let's break down what that really means for you as a purchaser of a new home. So for the sake of simplicity, well, let's just say you're going to buy a home for $500,000 and you're looking in Fulshire, Katy, Richmond, one of these surrounding areas, and you're going to put $100,000 down on that property. So that means, simple math, we are going to be financing $400,000. So if you're looking at a percentage rate of 6.1%, your principal and interest payment is going to be about $2,440 a month. So hypothetically, if those rates drop 0.5% to 5.8%, what does that payment now become? That payment now becomes $2,375. So that is a savings of about $65 per month. So if the rates do drop 0.5%, that's not a really huge, significant savings. Now, I'm not saying that $65 doesn't matter, because every single penny counts. That's not a life-changing amount of money to say, hey, if I really need to purchase a home, then I shouldn't do so because the rates are too high. So that's why timing is important. And it's important to look at all of the different factors. And it's also important to know what the difference those percentage makes in your monthly mortgage note. So if you are looking for a house, if you are a buyer of a property in the Houston area, what should you be doing in 2026? If you absolutely need to move, need to buy a new home in 2026, what should you be doing, or what should you be doing to prepare? Now, I tell you this, if it makes sense, I would move to the Houston suburbs. Builders are doing some amazing things right now, things that are pretty rare. And what they're offering is a ton of money towards your closing costs. Now, they're giving you a concession that you're able to use to pay part of your down payment, to pay part of your closing costs. All of those things you can use because they're offering closing cost credits. They're also offering rate lock-ins. Some of these builders are offering 4 and 5%. Now, that is a whole point below what the current market rate is, and that's going to offer you some serious savings. And in the case of those rates that are 4%, that's almost 2% savings per month that you're saving on those interest rates. So what does that mean to you? You're basically getting an artificially low interest rate, even though the market is around 6%. That is real money. That's real savings that you can apply to your monthly mortgage payments. Now, here's the caveat. Once we see rates start dipping and they start going down and down, those incentives are going to disappear. Buyer competition is going to roar back up. And so those incentives are going to disappear. So what are you going to see? In the current market, the averages, they're going to get lower, but it could lead to higher prices and fewer concessions from the builders. Because anytime there's more buyers than there are homes, what does that mean? That means that prices are going to increase. So if you're in the market for a home in 2026 in the Houston area, my recommendation, if it's within the neighborhood that you want, if it fits your family's lifestyle, I recommend folks looking at new builds. Those are the ones that you're going to get real value, real bang for your buck in this current market environment. So the question that I always get, should you wait or should you buy now? And the reality is, your realtor, I can't answer that question for you. All I can do is guide you and give you market information about making the best decision for you and your family. Ultimately, that decision, whether to buy or sell real estate, is up to you and your family. So here's how I guide my clients. If the house fits your life, if the payment works for you each month at today's rate, and you plan to be there 3 to 5 years, then buying now and being hopeful to refinance later is almost always the smarter move. So what does that mean? That means that if you need to move, if you find a house that fits within your monthly budget, then go ahead and buy the house, even though the rate may be a little bit higher than you want. Who knows? It could come down in a couple of years and you can refinance out. But if the home fits for you and your family, then my recommendation would be to buy it. If it fits within your budget, then buy the home. If you need a home, then buy the home now. Now, if it doesn't work, the home that you're looking at for your budget doesn't fit for your family, then don't. Then wait. Wait for things to go down a little bit. Here's what happens. When rates eventually go down, you can refinance, you can lower the payment, you can keep the house locked in at the rate that you did in. But if you don't buy a house, that fits in your budget, then you don't have any of those options. So here's the bottom line. Based on all the information we've seen, based on the data that I've collected from these major players, Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers Association, all of these major heavyweights in the mortgage industry, basically what they're saying is that during 2026, we are going to see rates hover around 6%. Now they may dip into the high fives, they may go up to the mid sixes, but they're going to hover around 6% for the majority of 2026 based on all the data and research of these folks who are in the mortgage industry. But what's changing as these rates go down is competition in pricing, and that's what's really going to affect your wallet. So if you are thinking about buying or selling in the Houston area, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Like I mentioned before, our contact information is located in the description below. We'd love to help you run through some numbers. We'd love to give you a reference for one of the mortgage bankers that we use here in the Houston area. And we'd love to go through those numbers for you to see if the house you're looking at actually fits your budget. And if it does, then we can go further along down the process. And if it doesn't, no harm, no foul. But here's the information that we want to give you. If you're looking to buy a house in the Houston market, rates are going to hover around 6% for most of 2026. So we hope that information has been helpful to you. And if it has, please don't hesitate to like it and share it with all your friends. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the bell for all the latest updates. Thank you for tuning in to today's video. If you have any feedback for me or comments, we'd love to hear from you down below. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.